Today we got a special guest in the house. We got Kimberlyn Scott. We're going to be talking about missing persons and some other things that she's working on for the state of Hawaii. Certain things that need to be talked about. So we'll be talking about it today here on the show. Again, Kimberlyn Scott, aloha, mahalo. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
Aloha, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time you guys are giving us to talk about this topic.
That's right. Originally, the local show was here for people from the community to come and talk about certain aspects of the community, certain projects and stuff like that. And it's been a while. It's been a while since I actually had somebody that represents people, community projects, and or other things like today, but we'll be talking about missing persons. You spearhead a lot of investigations. You help out a lot of investigations here on the island about missing persons. And in fact, some of the stuff that you gave to me to read about, especially when it comes down to official numbers for the state, it kind of fluctuates. So it's weird, you know. And then I kept writing on the notes, and I'm like, whoa, it's kind of like, do they know how many people is actually missing in Hawaii? I don't think there's an exact number, because the last one I read is 209 officially by the state, I believe, right?
For our state, we actually have 227 right now. Sorry about that. State, that's our statewide number. And that comes from the NamUs website, which is the national...
NamUs, yes.
Yes, it's the national database for missing persons that is available to the public. So it's a really, really awesome...
That's what happened. I questioned what was the missing persons site that we have here for the county of Maui. And then a friend of ours, Brandy...
Chopin, I can't
pronounce her last name.
I know, I can't pronounce it either. She knows who she is.
I call her Sister Brandy. It's Sister Brandy. Yeah. She put me in the right direction. She put me to you because she started posting up stuff that was like, wait, these names of these people aren't even listed on our Maui County missing persons list.
Correct.
So that's so strange. I thought everything would be, forthcoming when it comes to the county and stuff like that. But then I guess it's hard for people to really keep track out there of the people that gone missing, and it's so bad about it as well. It's from it starts from a young age, as young as 2 years old, to the elderly that have gone missing in Hawaii and Maui alone. So we'll be getting into stuff like that. Plus, we'll be talking about some amendments that you're kind of working on to announce to the council members and stuff like that, so people out there that want to listen. I know that you do have some people in the Senate that are kind of looking at.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I'm pretty excited about that.
So everybody, this is Kimberlyn Scott again. Do you have an official name of, the kind of service that you give out there to help out the community?
I am just an advocate for the missing. Yeah, I'm just an advocate. I stumbled into this actually because my daughter Charlie Scott went missing 8 years ago, and it brought home to me the issues surrounding missing persons and the gaps in the system that exist. And you brought up, for instance, the discrepancies in the data regarding missing persons, and that's actually been a huge issue because we can't address the issues surrounding missing persons unless we know what type of missing person it is and what our biggest issues are.
Okay.
And so that's been an ongoing issue, and I'm really happy to say that the previous administration for MPD didn't take it seriously at all, missing persons cases. We had a lot of issues, and that's not to say that there aren't a lot of good officers, patrolmen, a lot of good officers out there, and some detectives that work hard because 99% of our cases are solved within the first week.
Okay.
So, it sounds really big and it seems like, a lot of people go missing. And they do, but it depends on the situation. And very often, like I said, they're found almost right away.
Yeah.
And there's no foul play, there's no injury. In other cases that are of note and are the primary source of our missing persons issues, well, not issues, but the primary source of missing persons is people who go swimming and have accidents. They go out by themselves. They have accidents. They no return. They don't come back.
I follow a couple of the cases that happen, like people getting washed out. People that are hiking anywhere near.
And those are a little bit different because that's actually hiker, and so that's somebody who went out hiking and maybe got swept out by a flash flood.
Yeah.
Which the flash floods, that's a big issue here.
We have one case where it was a man that was out in Charlie Young who went out, I believe he went scuba diving with friends and never returned.
We have several of those
Yeah,
kind of cases.
I think that happened back in December, I believe. I was following that story as well.
Yeah, we have several cases like that. And then we have the cases that, breaking it down even more, you have cases that fall under the heading of suspicious missing.
Okay.
And those cases are, to me, very separate from the others because they are handled differently. If you have a missing swimmer or a missing hiker, those issues are addressed very often by FPD, the fire department, Coast Guard, and the police department. And then we have a couple of search and rescue volunteer groups here that are amazing. Maui Search and Rescue, which I helped start in basically when my daughter went missing. And then we have STAT, which came from the Amanda Eller search.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that family, the Ellers, have just been amazing about trying to put money and effort back into the community that helped them so much.
Okay.
So they've done an awful lot of work to try and beef up, so to speak, our search and rescue efforts. And one of the ways that they did that is they got a very expensive, amazing drone. The things that this drone can do. It's a $32,000 drone.
Oh wow!
And it's huge.
Yes.
It's huge and it's really amazing. So I see that as really beneficial to a lot of our search and rescue efforts. But then you have the cases where there's suspicious missing. And those cases are primarily handled by the police department. Okay. And
does the Kiara Henry case kind of fall? Yeah.
Yes, the Kiara Henry case is it's been, I believe, 2.5 years ago.
Yes.
Now, Kiara Henry came out here to Maui to visit. She came alone. She spent a few days looking at the island and had gone on a bus tour to Wainapa Napa. And apparently, we're presuming that she enjoyed it so much that the following day she rented a car.
Yes.
And it was only a 24-hour rental, I believe it was.
Because she was supposed to leave the next day.
Yeah. So she drove out there, and her car was not reported missing for, I believe it was 3 days.
Oh wow.
And that's another big gap in the system, and this actually brings to attention here something else I'd like to mention. There's a lot of cases, well, not a lot, we have 3 or 4 specific cases where the person who went missing left behind a vehicle. And the vehicle was never forensically checked. It wasn't even set aside. In Kiara's case, that vehicle was a rental vehicle, and it was returned
directly
immediately to the rental agency.
It's funny though, she had the key. I guess they had the spare key to take care of that car. But I didn't realize that MPD didn't actually do a full investigation on this case. That's one of the gaps in.
Usually,
if this was the mainland, they would have CSI all over that by now. But again, our former MPD people.
Some problems.
There.
This is why I was so. I advocated. It's one of the many reasons I advocated so loudly for this new police chief, because we had meetings about the issues surrounding missing persons, And one of the first things he said to me was that every missing persons case should be treated as a possible crime, possible homicide, and until it's proven not to be. And that was music to my ears because that's not how things have been handled previously. So I'm really happy to see that. But, you know, the upshot of cases like Kiara Henry's, Aiden Dungan's, and there's David, I have to look at his last name because I can never pronounce it correctly. I apologize. One moment. There's David Janotka, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Yes. David Janotka, all of those cases involved vehicles that were left behind, and those vehicles were never checked. And as a result, we have no idea if Kiara picked someone up as she was traveling, if someone went with her. We have no idea. And the same applies to cases like Aiden Dungan's, which you mentioned, a young boy, or young guy from Kauai, local boy, surfer. And he came here to Maui, and neither of his vehicles, they both, the one his father actually found, and it was owned by his mother.
Okay.
Again, never checked. It was just sent back to the family. He owned a moped that was removed from the residence that he was at last. It was removed by 3 people who just showed up randomly and took it, never re-registered it. That to me is that's a big red flag, right? And I classify Aiden's case.
And this is information that is not divulged to the public. They only give you a certain amount of information on the official missing persons list on the Maui County bulletin and stuff like that. And you see, there's some unsolved mysteries going on in Hawaii. That boggles my mind, because especially when it comes down to missing people. I have my own theory sometimes if it comes to people that, you know, go to Wainapa or go to other places, like with this Joseph Wyatt, recent person is just missing here. And they're going into areas that I know people could be experienced outdoorsmen, they could be experienced hikers, or they've been outdoors, you know, many times, might know they were around. But then again, when it comes down to it, something us Hawaiians know about Maui is it's treacherous out there. You can make the wrong mistake.
Dangerous paradise.
You can take the wrong step. You can walk into certain areas. There might be even animals. I say not, you know, animals out there are aggressive, but there is a possibility. We do have wild boars with giant tusks out here. But the one other thing that I have a theory about is lava tubes.
Yeah. I think we do lose people off when they do fall into the ocean. We had several cases. I believe it was in 2016 or 2017 at the same blowhole, Nakalele.
Yeah.
Blowhole out there that Joey Wyatt recently went missing near, and each one of those cases we were unable. Actually, we did find one person, but he was still alive. He went in the water with another person who we never found again. And we had, I think it was 8 of them, like within a 2-month period, that were swept out to sea accidentally, and we did not recover those bodies. And I agree with you. I think the lava, the pukas, when the ocean and the lava meet, it creates all those caverns.
Here's the thing about it, that's towards the ocean. I'm talking about into the forest areas, because I have a friend, and in his backyard, if he hadn't taken care of it, there was a big lava tube hole in his backyard that had to be backfilled. But it could have been big enough for a child to fall in. So the thing is, with our forests up here, there are certain areas where there's caves and caverns that people could just easily like get lost in, or accidentally fall in.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Yeah, and then when you talk about that drone that the family has given to
Amanda Eller's family. Yeah.
That I feel that's the best thing. Technology nowadays, a lot of people out in the mainland, they're using this technology to try and find a lot of people. And along with Hawaii, compared to the States, the mainland, there's so much missing people. I didn't realize that Hawaii, is up there too in the ranks of how many people are missing per state nowadays. I followed. I don't know if you ever heard of this guy. He's an amazing author, investigator. He used to be with the FBI. His name is David Paulides.
Oh no, I don't know that one.
David Paulides. He does Missing 411. It's a documentary. It's a series of books, and these are about actually people who, kind of like with Kiara Henry, who just up and vanish. There's things left behind. There's signs of like, oh, she might have gone here, she might have gone there. Same thing happens all along in various areas of the forests along from California to the East Coast. And I didn't realize that even here in our own backyard in Hawaii, that's happening.
Yeah, it happens a lot more often than people realize. And I do think that it's an appropriate moment to say that if you're going on a hike, if you're going swimming, you really should have someone with you. Someone should know exactly where you're at and what time you're coming home. Because when we come in trying to find where someone disappeared at, we have to have that information because that's the beginning of our search grid. And very often there's questions. People are like, we aren't sure exactly which part of this area they went to.
That's right. Island, you may think island. Time. Yeah, you would think island is it's a small island in Maui. No. It's so vast. There's so much unexplored areas on the east mountains, even on the west mountains as well. And we do have, and here's another thing too that I've noticed, that there are several cases that are of homeless people here on the island just automatically going missing as well. I forget the name of this person, but one case was a man who was homeless. He just started walking out into the fields out past, I believe, near Kenai sites, or going towards Hana side. He wasn't driving anything. I believe he was on foot, and he just vanished. People say
the
he
only
just
case
walked
that reminds me of that is the Gary Hoffman.
It might be that case that I was looking at.
But that was more like above Kula area.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not exactly sure on that one. But yes, you bring up another big issue that is something that I'm trying to bring to the attention of the new administration within from MPD, because we do have several cases that are suspicious in nature, and one of the things that makes them suspicious is the majority of these people come from a similar demographic, i.e. houseless. They may have mental health issues, drug and or alcohol issues, and all of these things basically make them more vulnerable to crimes committed against their persons. And they don't have the scheduled lifestyle that others have, so knowing that they're missing may be delayed. Finding them because of their lifestyles can be equally difficult. But it's very concerning to me, because that's one of the things, and I don't want to be an alarmist, but it is one of the things that the FBI brings up when you have several people go missing within 5 or 6 years, let's say, and they're all from the same demographic and, have the same lifestyles, that kind of thing. Then basically you should be heads up.
Yeah.
We should be looking, Maui.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
Yeah.
And, with our houseless people here, I know that can be an issue that some people are not as concerned about, but I think there's every reason to be very concerned about cases like this, because not just for all the obvious reasons, but every one of these people, they all have families that love them. They all have someone who cares, that's been looking for them. And so
just kind of lost their way in life,
Yes.
So we have to keep an eye out there. Plus, we do have I've had a guest in here before, Lisa Darcy, and she helps out with she's with Share Yamana, and she's been an advocate for some people, like the people that were houseless on Airport Beach Road over there. Yeah, there was a situation that was over there. She was helping out over there as well. And it's sad. I mean, I mean, it's sad. I help. I try to help out as much as I can. If I see somebody outside, I have an extra drink. I have an extra, but at the same time, I kind of like try to point them in the right direction. We have Lisa Darcy over here. We have. I try to point them in the right direction of areas that can give out food or bathing stuff, Salvation Army. Me and myself, I used to volunteer at Hawaiʻi in Kihei, and I would just see so much influx of houseless and people who are less fortunate out there, especially when it comes down to families as well. That's why I like working with organizations that are out there to help, not only to keep people safe, but keep people healthy, keep people, keep people with their nutrition, keep it up with them, because it's so hard out there, and I'm always giving.
Well, we live in one of the most expensive states in the United States.
We do.
To not just, afford a home in, but our food is price for food pricey. Here pretty pricey.
Yeah. Maui Times recently put out that receipt thing, that picture of a receipt compared to a Hawaii and just a small dollar store in California.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, a gallon of milk in Hawaii. Wow.
No, I know, milk, ice cream. Those are the kind of things that I try to
eggs, protein,
try to enjoy
vegetables.
when I go to travel. Because I don't have ice cream here.
That's right. That's right. Actually, you gotta go and buy those real processed stuff that they have in the box stores.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather have a good shaved ice with some Kona coffee ice cream in there or something like that. Something fresh. We have the Rosalani ice cream. Pricey. I'm gonna say it's pricey, but I like to splurge, and we did splurge for current Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's a good excuse. That's a good excuse. So if it's okay, I would like to mention a couple of our older cases that are on my suspicious list, and then kind of wind up with the cases that are most recent.
Yeah.
So Billy Oliveira is one of our older cases. It's actually 7 years old now. And you have camera, yeah?
Yeah.
So I can show. This is Billy Oliveira.
I've mentioned him in past when I would talk about missing persons here on the island. I mentioned several of these people, but not all of them. I've mentioned Kiara, but when it comes down to some of the other names, it's
hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up. That's what makes me necessary, sadly. But Billy Oliveira's case is definitely still ongoing.
Local boy.
And there's so many rumors surrounding cases like his. But the bottom line is someone here knows what happened to Billy, because and I hate to say this, but I work with his family, and I hate to say, but I don't look for Billy being alive. Okay, I look for him missing and something was done to him. I hope, that's not so, but he is still missing 7 years, and this is a small island. He knows lots of people. He hasn't been to a doctor. He hasn't left the island. He hasn't gone to a grocery store in 7 years. Nothing. He hasn't used his social security number. None of these things have happened, and those are all big red flags.
Yeah.
So he's one of the cases that I first got involved in, because he literally went missing shortly after my daughter did, and his was the first one where I realized this is what I'm doing. I'm going to start helping these kind of families. I'm very attached to his family, and I hope that if someone is listening to this, if you know anything, speak up. This family, they have not forgotten Billy, and they want answers. Another case that we have that is about that age is David Alex, which I think, there he is. The David Alex case.
Oh, okay.
That is 5 years old.
Oh, yes. I was following this story as well.
Yes,
I've talked about him before.
Yeah.
Don't like to talk about it too much. I know that he kind of fallen into the wrong crowd before he went missing. Is that right? He was.
Well, we're not. That's the thing, is we don't have any evidence of that. We have very limited evidence with regards to this particular case, and one of the things that's most disturbing, David came out here he moved here from Illinois.
Illinois.
And his mother, in fact, is coming here February 28th to yet again search for her son.
Yeah.
She comes every year that she can. And basically, David was only here for 11 days.
Okay.
Before he went missing. And before he moved here, he'd been an Office Max employee. Okay. In Illinois. Got a job transfer. You can't really get job transfer unless you're a pretty decent employee. Yeah. So they sent him, they said, yeah, come out, go out to Maui. So he had a job already planned here. His mother and him, he had gotten a brand new computer, a brand new GoPro. He got a used moped, and basically he had told his mother, in an effort not to worry her, that he had a place to stay. Okay. But we know that he did not. So we are unaware of where he was staying, but he was showing up at work every day. And he was in constant contact with his family. And then he was in an accident. And that's where this last picture was taken. Oh, okay. It was taken by the officer during the interview following the accident. He was hit by a car while on his moped. Oh, wow. And because it was less than $3,000 in damage, etc., there's no citations or anything. Okay. And so we're just really lucky that this officer took this photo. Yeah. My hat's off to her, whoever I believe it was a woman.
That photo was taken just
moments after. He's literally sitting on the ground right after this accident. And we know that his cell phone was broken. We don't know to what degree. Mm-hmm. The moped may have had problems. We don't know to what degree. One of the most important aspects of this is that from that moment forward, which I believe this happened on day 9, so there's only 2 more days that we have any evidence of David moving around. Mm-hmm. We know from his bank records that he had been purchasing food. He didn't have a home, so he's purchasing all of his food at stores, at restaurants. So he's using his card like every day, 8 times a day, usually. And then on the last day that we have a record of him, he went to Kmart, which is POW now. Yeah. But he went to Kmart, and it looks like he tried to make a sizable purchase. We don't know what the purchase was, but he tried to make a sizable purchase. And when he entered his PIN, it was entered incorrectly 3 times, and the card was POW. That was it. Oh, yeah. Wow. Now, that's pretty odd for somebody who's using their card over and over and over again and never has a problem remembering the PIN prior to this.
Did MPD retrieve any security camera footage?
No, because unfortunately this was while MPD wasn't really paying enough attention to these cases, previous admin. And so they did not collect video. They did not, and the mother got this information right away because her bank account and cell phone was with his. Mm-hmm. So she didn't have to wait. She didn't have to go wait for subpoenas, warrants, nothing. She got all of this. She did a great job. My hat's off to this woman. She was amazing, is amazing. Anyway, so she tried to provide all of this information, and basically it was not taken by MPD, by the detectives involved, even though she asked them to take it. So
what, MPD? You guys are too much on Hawaiian time over there. You guys just playing poker maybe in the back room.
I don't know, but it was costly to this young man and this family because we have never had an answer, and there's a couple of abnormalities about that case that make me hope that maybe he's alive. Maybe he had an injury from the accident and he just doesn't remember. I don't know. But if anyone sees this young man,
David Alex, everybody.
David Alex, man. His family is coming again on February 28th to look for him, as they have done almost every year since he was gone. The only interruption was COVID. So there's that case, and then another one of our more long-term cases is Michael Long.
Michael Long, yes.
Yes, he went missing. Last time we know of him being anywhere was up like Baldwin Avenue,
Baldwin Beach
up by Aloha House area. Okay. And there's a rumor, I have not been able to confirm, that he was seen after that in the Kihei area, but he had and he was houseless and has some drug and alcohol issues. And this limited really his ability to get around because he was pretty dependent upon those things. So he stayed in Kihei within like a 3-mile radius. We're talking from Safeway, Long's Drugs, and then the church that serves, is it St. Anthony's? I think
St. Anthony Church.
Yeah. So that's all right there. Yeah. So that was his his grid, and he has not been seen for over 2 years. Oh, so again, what happened?
Yeah, that's basically Happy Valley area and.
No, this was Kihei. This was Kihei. Yeah, this was Kihei.
Oh, St. Teresa's.
St. Teresa's.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm thinking St. Anthony. I was like, wait, my mom went to school there.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, try to remember all of them, but I have a lot of cases. Anyway,
I might have ran into him because again, in that area, that's where they have the Hawaiʻi.
Yeah, and he was one of the people who used that service. So the fact that no one has seen him, none of the people who he usually interacted with have seen him at all. He has an identical twin brother. Which it made things a little complicated at the beginning, but there's a serious health difference between them. So it became, easier to identify Mike as...
Is his family here in Hawaii?
No. His mother and father are deceased. His sister, Shirley Crone, has been heading up the search.
Okay.
So she's been working really hard for her brother. And... so again, if anyone knows anything about where Mike Long went, please call. There's numbers attached to all of this. I'm sure that Akaku, I'll leave this information with Akaku, and they have my number. Anyone can call. Please help us find these young men, or this gentleman.
Definitely.
Then again, I'm going to talk about Aiden Dungan.
Yes.
Whose family is a Kauai family.
Yeah,
and Aiden came here from Kauai. It's just over 2 years now, and he was very close with his family. And there's just he literally has just dropped off the face of the earth. He had constant communication with his family. He did not leave the island. There are certain checks that we do. Yeah. So there's no proof of life, which is very important in all of these cases. That's one of the things that, we don't have proof of death, but we don't have proof of life. We cannot find them using their social security numbers anywhere. They're not applying for EBT, for any social service help. They're not getting help in any of the normal places that they did, which with Aiden, he wasn't using any of those things. But in some of those other cases, because we had the stimulus checks, I had the families look up their kids. If you've got one missing loved one, think about this. You can use that website to look up whether or not your missing loved one has collected their stimulus checks. And so when all of this first started going on, I had all these families check because, if you're just running around, and like we're saying, a lot of these people come from a houseless demographic or have drug and or alcohol problems. You'd think that they would take free money if it's available. Yes. No. None of these people ever got any of their stimulus checks or anything like that. And Aiden indeed had money available to him.
Yeah.
So he has never shown up, and I work very closely with his family. His case is extremely questionable. We have names of people who last saw him, and I would really like to encourage MPD to continue to follow up on all of these cases, but we've had a couple of good leads on Aiden's case.
Good.
And
awesome. I'm
hoping that those leads will bring us to some answers for this family. And then the next one is Ikaika Gamponia, another local boy. And he's been...
Brother Ikaika.
Pardon?
Brother Ikaika.
Brother Ikaika.
Yes.
Yes, and he's been missing for just over 3 years now. And in his case, very heartbreaking, and it's a pretty strange case because literally the last people to see Ikaika alive were members of MPD.
And at Kahakaloa, too.
Kahakaloa. They gave chase while he was in a vehicle, and they were rear-ending the vehicle. And they were in an unmarked police car. Yeah. They were rear-ending his vehicle. This is out Kahakaloa side, and we all know that's a gnarly, treacherous road right there. And basically, the vehicle pursuing pushed Ikaika's vehicle into a burn. And the second he hit that burn, he jumped out the car and ran.
Oh, wow.
And the police went after him, and he was never seen again. And the thing is Ikaika, he could have called his family for help. Yeah. Any of his family would have helped him. And at the time that this happened, Ikaika's mother was battling cancer. And it was serious. And he was very close to his mother. And he never contacted her. And so so he went missing January 19th, or 16th. I think it is 16th on 2019. And for the next 2 months, till March 27th, which is his birthday, his mother spent all that time searching, doing everything she can to find her son. And on his birthday, she passed away from the cancer that was killing her. And I have to say, in cases like that, I don't see Ikaika not calling home, knowing that his mother is ill, not reaching out to her, not telling her, hey, stop searching, go get medical help. You're putting your life in danger.
No, the officers of this unmarked vehicle, were they questioned?
No. They have never been questioned. And
are they still on the force?
Yes, they are, to my knowledge. And this is a big issue to me because in any other case, you go missing, you start with the people who saw him last. So there's literally no excuse for them to not be questioned in regards to Ikaika going missing. And even to the point of, I would like to see them polygraphed. Just because they're officers, that don't mean they don't break laws. Okay.
Hey, we since 2020, we've been getting so much reports, especially in the mainland, about officers doing this, officers doing that, and I don't like to say that any of the officers here on Maui will be able to or have the ability to do something without us knowing. It'd be a very negative thing, but.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that because of the work I do, I work with 26 families total. We have currently 46 people missing. Out of all of the families that I directly interact with, and that usually leads to interaction with the police regarding those specific cases. I've only had one case where I've ever received a call from an MPD officer telling me to leave a case alone. And that was Ikaika's case, Ikaika Gamponia. And the other thing that was of interest to me about this is that if I've got the names correct, 2 of the officers that were that stand basically accused, I don't know if you heard about the detective, Chris Schmidt, who talked about 2 officers from MPD kidnapping a fellow officer and taking him out Kahakaloa to threaten him, okay? And if those names are correct, those are 2 of the same people that were there when Ikaika went missing. So...
We're not naming names right now.
Yeah, I'm not naming names.
Not naming names, but it's, at the same time, it's very shady.
It's very shady, and I would like to see MPD do an investigation on these. Yes, this is. I mean, they're paid employees. They work for us, and the idea that they can make anyone possibly disappear or be involved in any way, or even if they're not involved, avoid being questioned, because that literally holds up what we're trying to do. We're trying to investigate. So I would like to see them cooperate fully and help this family find Ikaika and discover what happened to him. I've talked to a lot of people who knew Ikaika, and He's a local boy. He got in some troubles. You know, he got in some troubles, but he was a good boy. He was a good boy.
Yeah.
And
it's not this is not like ordinary. It really is not an ordinary case. This is something that has to be looked on.
I agree.
I myself, with the information given, it's not at all what information that you're telling me right now. The information that is available to the public is not the exact information that you have.
No, but that's because I'm working with the family, and you know, they do try to get things out, but you know, it's difficult here. You know, we live in paradise. We don't really want to talk about missing people. So you know, easier go surfing, but
let's just
until it happens to you or someone you love.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of what I'm trying to avoid here by getting on top of this issue, all the issues surrounding missing persons, which there are many. But
let's talk to the chief. Let's get the chief on this.
Yeah, I would like that. Aloha, Chief John Pelletier.
Yeah.
Come talk about this. So we have missing person Kevin Winters, which is one of the most recent cases.
Okay.
And so what that means for all of us is that this is only almost 6 months old. So people's memories, if you saw him, anything you know, please reach out to the family. We have put phone numbers down here. The family has been having a really hard time with the investigating detective because it doesn't. They just haven't been able to get cooperation from him on following up.
Is there a last known area of?
Yes, Lahaina, I believe it was, is because he went and deposited a check. And so there is video footage of him, and we do have this. Kevin has a Facebook page. His sister's been very proactive in searching for him. So basically,
right after that bank visit, he just vanished.
Gone.
Yeah.
And no more, you know, he put all of his money in his bank and then never got any more out to live on.
It was a deposit. It wasn't a.
Correct.
You know, he didn't take out money.
Correct. So what's he living on? You know, like, and he had, again, areas and people he knew and he hung out in. He has not applied for any help. He hasn't left the island. There's no evidence of life. Okay?
It's crazy, everybody. Very crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
And then our most recent case, which she is still not up on the MPD missing persons page, which
this
you
is
brought
the one
up.
I noticed,
Yeah, you brought that up. Now, I do agree that a lot of these cases shouldn't be put up right away because most of them get found pretty quick. Yeah. So I don't want to, advocate for MPD having to do more work because then they put them up, they got to take them down. But I do think when somebody's been missing for a couple of weeks to a month, you need to get them up.
Yeah.
They need to be up. We need to be, and the other thing that I'm kind of passionate about is I make most of these flyers. MPD needs to be working on their flyer situation and getting them out and being more vocal about the missing. This young woman chose not to get on her return flight to go home. And she is, as far as her family knows, houseless. And she does have a drug and alcohol issue.
Okay.
Which means that she's in a kind of dangerous demographic, possibly. So we did get pictures of her tattoos. If anyone sees her, she was in the Kihei Triangle area and in the Paia Baldwin Beach area.
Okay. How long ago was this again?
This has only been, it's been like 2.5 months.
2.5 months. So
correct.
Last November was the last time people had seen
and she
her.
has not contacted her family, which she did regularly have contact with her family. So, and she had no cell phone is the other issue. So they're really...
No way of contacting her at all.
And the fact that this has been she wasn't reported missing right away because she has taken off before. So the family was acknowledging, maybe she's just made a choice. But when they don't hear from her for 2 months, they get worried. They make the report. Now we're 2 weeks into it and I got nothing.
She's a young woman though. Have everybody been monitoring her social media accounts if she has any social media?
Nothing. We've got nothing. There's no movement from her, which is concerning.
Wow, yes, very concerning.
And, you know, she's an attractive young woman, kind of memorable.
Yeah.
Nice tattoos, you know.
Yeah.
If anyone sees her, please reach out. There is a reward for every one of these people. And, you know, please reach out to the families or MPD or both, actually. That's really beneficial when people reach out to both of them.
Is there any mention in any way, and here's a real scary thought about human trafficking?
You know, that comes up a lot in
it's like what a lot of the FBI do with missing persons in the mainland as well. Is they kind of look into that.
Yeah,
you know,
I haven't had cases where I was worried about that per se. I think that happens more often on Oahu than it does here, and I do think it happens. I'm not negating that it happens. I personally have not come into contact with a case where that's what I thought happened. But, you know, being prepared for what's happening, because it's happening on other islands,
It is,
So if we can prepare ourselves and have a system in place that...
I myself have covered stories where there would be strangers just watching over kids at the high schools, at the middle schools. There was an incident in Lahaina where a girl was approached. She was walking home from school, Lahaina Luna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she was approached by just a random stranger. So it's a real scary thought out there, but it maybe could be considered as one of the theories when it comes down to missing people.
Correct. But we actually have fewer missing women here than we do men. And
it's more men, but...
Way more men. And... you know, our cases with the women, too, there's a couple of cases that, to me, are very concerning. And they're also very old cases. Oh, I should mention, and I don't have her flyer, I apologize. Giannina Reed is from a Molokai case. And she went missing last year during a kind of strange incident. And Molokai is super small. I think they have like 7,000 residents there, and everyone knew Giannina. She was pretty gregarious, very, very vocal, very loud, and very attractive young woman. So pretty much everyone knew her there. And she has been diagnosed with a very serious mental health illness. And
bipolar disorder?
No, I don't know exactly what it's called, but I believe it was more serious than that. Okay. And basically the last time she was seen, she drove her car to the end. Oh, I'm gonna forget what it's called. It's a viewing spot out by the Phallic Rock, Molokai. Why can't I remember? It's a lookout, Kalapapa Lookout. Kalapapa Lookout.
Kalapapa. Oh, okay.
I was blanking.
Yeah. The leprechaun colony area. Yeah,
so she had driven out there, and she almost injured someone that she drove past at a high speed. So people really noticed that, you know, she was going out there. And she exited the car, left the car door open, and left all her personal belongings in it. And that was it.
That was her last location. Wow.
And again, you know, she had the kind of personality that no can stay quiet. She's very outgoing, outspoken.
Again, very out of the ordinary to somebody that would be so full of life.
Just stop. Yeah.
So
we actually did a search a couple months ago on Molokai on the cliffside. And we're planning another search at the end of April out there, because we actually had a cadaver dog out there indicate in 2 areas along that cliffside. So that's our next goal, is to really do our best to see if we can find her along that cliffside.
That's good. We have 4 minutes left in the show.
It's been a full hour already.
Yeah. If we don't have the chance, I mean, it was very interesting about you mentioning the amendment that you're working on.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to some of the things that I saw in that video is very heinous crimes.
Yes.
And again, the sentences that these people have gotten I feel it's not what the crime pertains. It should have gotten more.
It's pretty horrible. Yeah. I think if I've only got that much time, what I want to say here is that most people don't realize that Hawaii, unlike most other states, we're one of 7 states that have chosen to do things the way we are. We are with our murder laws. We don't have premeditation here. We don't have cruel, heinous, atrocious. We don't have torture in our actual murder laws. What they did was they took all that language out and they put it in these enhancements, which the murder one is only applicable to specific entities. So judges, prosecutors, police officers, yeah? So murder one is it's for them, pretty much. There's a couple of other entities, but it really doesn't, it's never used for them. And so we have murder two available to you and I. And if, like in my daughter's case, okay, she was murdered pretty brutally. And they charged murder two, brought in the enhancement, which what the enhancement is meant to do is bump up the penalty for murder two to murder one. And that's what we're after with this amendment, SB 2027. We want the penalty of murder one. So we want the classes of people that we are trying to get added to murder one would be children under 14. And I think we can all agree our children are keiki. They're vulnerable. Yes. Let's protect them. Okay, let's get them on that law. And then we have our pregnant wahine. Okay, we don't have a feticide law in our state at all. And there's so much issue surrounding abortion and all that they're afraid to even touch it.
And this is the state of Hawaii.
Yes. So they're afraid to even touch it. So, okay, we found another way to protect our pregnant wahine, because you see, there's two sides to the coin of reproduction. You have the right to choose to have an abortion in our state, but you also should, and that's a protected right. The right to choose to carry your child to term should also be protected. Okay. So basically we have SB 2027. And the final amendment or additional thing to murder one that we want on there is anyone who is murdered via torture. And that just seems like an obvious, but I don't care who you are. If you kill someone using torture, you should get the murder one penalty.
Like this case on Oahu about the girl that was caged.
Oh, Ariel Sellers, Kalua. Yes, that's horrible. And there are multiple cases like that. We don't have time right now to go into all of them. But the bottom line is the enhancement is not working at all. We have multiple cases. I sent them to you, and you can vouch for this, that these cases were so horrible. There was torture involved, and these were children, and they only got murdered too. And in a couple of the cases, in one of them in particular, it was a 9-year-old little girl that was murdered. She was starved to death in a house with 3 locked refrigerators.
I read about that,
And, her parents got 4 years each for that. I'm just saying, let's put our keiki on murder one. And tomorrow is our first hearing in Senate Judiciary for this.
Awesome.
And we need as much support as can. This needs to be changed. I'm ashamed that our system is the way it is currently.
Okay, well, I want to have you back after you guys have this meeting and stuff like that.
I want to have you back
actually to cover more on that. We have covered missing persons. Of course, I would love to have you back again if any more updates, come up in cases that are currently investigating here on the island. So, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. This meant so much to the families. I was rushing to call all of them and tell them you were doing this for them. And so thank you to Akaku. Thank you to you. Yeah. This was an excellent way for us to get this information
out. I will definitely send you the link to this video because we are streaming on my Facebook page.
Awesome.
So it'll be archived there on the page.
Excellent. So all these families can watch and we can share it, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so everybody share this because we need to get the intel out so we can find these missing people.
Now, any information that you can give out, anybody where they can reach you at, phone number or email?
I basically put my phone number all over missing persons flyers. It's 808-205-7758. If you have any intel on any of our missing, please contact me or the police department. If it comes to me, I do let the police department know right away. So... Thank you.
There you go. All right, Kimberlyn Scott, everybody, advocate here for missing people and for amendment rights and stuff like that to
SB 2027.
There we go. And that's it for this special edition of the local show. Thank you for tuning in. And keep it locked here on KAKU 88.5 FM for more programming. Aloha, Maui.
Aloha.